Before I even greet you, I wanted to say something. The Spiritist message is supposed to be heard by anyone and everyone. There is no restriction. Everybody is supposed to be listening to it. You are here hearing what we are all saying. Our friends on the internet are hearing the message. But how about those who are hard of hearing and deaf? Aren't those entitled as well? They are, right? They use a different language. They don't use English. They use something called ASL, stands for American Sign Language. So I want to greet you in American Sign Language. Good afternoon. Okay? All right, so thank you. Actually, it's in our hearts and in our minds to start doing something Spiritist, videos in Spiritism in ASL, in American Sign Language, so we can get the message across to these people. That's why we're bringing this to you. Hopefully we're going to have support from everybody. Okay, self-awareness and inner transformation. They kind of go together, right? One comes after the other. First, you are aware of the need for a transformation, then you transform yourself. Is that easy? No, it's not. Within the time that we have here, we're going to pick up some points, only 4 points that we're going to discuss, 4 little things, 4 little ideas. These 4 ideas were already spoken in a way or another today, so that makes it easy. My job is a little bit easier, so I don't have to explain too much on certain things. And here's idea number 1, reincarnation. We spoke about this several times today. Several of our friends spoke about it. And one of our friends, Daniel Assisi, was just on the stage a few minutes ago. He mentioned this particular question in the Spirits book, question 132, in which Allan Kardec asks the spirits, the highly evolved spirits, what is the purpose of the incarnation? And like he said, and I'm going to use the same thing, it's an answer that comes in 2 parts. The first part is the standard answer that we all know, and the idea of reincarnation is so we can progress and get to perfection. But the second part of the answer, which he also caught our attention, says, and I'm going to read it with you so we understand exactly what it means. Incarnation also has a further objective, which is to place spirits in conditions where they can do their share in the work of creation. Okay. One day, my work in creation is going to be to create a planet, to govern a planet, like all of you, right? To create galaxies. Now, for me to get to that point, I need to do some changes. I need to be a Jesus-like figure, at least, to say the least. So I need to get rid of certain things, my intolerance, my impatience, my envy, my jealousy, and the list goes on and on and on. That is what it means. We are placed in conditions that will allow us to work on these things, on all these envies and all these vices that we have. That's what this means. And easily, it's not going to be. We're going to have to go through a lot of pain. More or less, depending on the person, but we will have to deal with the pain. And the first kind of trouble that we have with the pain, we're talking about moral pain. The first trouble that we have is we kind of don't understand exactly what it's for at times. It's very easy to revolt. Actually, Spirit Emmanuel tells us revolt is the same as incomprehension. They are synonyms. Incomprehension. We're not comprehending something, so we revolt, okay? But we need to understand the meaning of pain. So let's start easily. Think about physical pain. So I hit my arm and I break my arm. If it didn't hurt anything at all, nothing at all, I would just keep working and doing things with my arm, and you would, break more parts, and to a point where you would dismantle the entire thing. That's what pain is for. If pain is an alert signal saying you got to stop because something happened. Stop, and then let's work on it. That's what the physical pain is for. The human body is wired with that purpose. So physical pain is kind of easy to understand. Medicine understands it very well. Now, moral pain is the same. It has the same concept. It's an alert. Something that I'm not doing right came up, and I'm having to go through that. And depending on how I take this pain, if I insist, like my arm, if it breaks and I insist, it's going to be a lot worse. When I have to go through one of these moral pains and I insist on not paying attention, I'm going to suffer by choice, not by design, by choice. So pain has a meaning. What is the meaning of the moral pain? If we go back in reincarnation that we just saw, we just talked about it, for me to be able to do my part on creation, I have to clean myself, morally speaking. So all the wrongdoings that come from the past have to be offset one way or another. When I offset these, if I could put a collection together of all the wrongdoings that I still have to offset, if I could make a list of all of them, it would be something tremendously long, very long. We wouldn't be able to say, on my next life, I want to offset each and every single one of them. I wouldn't be able to do it because there's too much wrongdoing, there's too much pain that I'm in because of my wrongdoings that I can't get rid of that in one incarnation. So I need several incarnations to discharge this pain. I need several physical bodies. One physical body doesn't let me discharge all of that. I need several of them. So I need several lives. So pain and reincarnation, they go together. They need to be together. Every incarnation is a little bit of my pain. Our pain is being financed by the divine bank. It's being financed. When you go to buy a car, okay, you go to a bank, for example, you tell the manager, I need $20,000 because I want to get a car. Okay, you get the $20,000 and you're going to pay this in installments. So when the paying booklet comes into your house and you're going to pay the first installment, you're happy about it. You pay happily because you got a brand new car. You don't complain. You don't go to the manager and tell him, this is wrong. What you're doing to me, it's wrong. But we do this up there. Our moral pain is being financed, and we are complaining about it. It's absurd if you think about it, if you think about the concept. And if you go to the bank, right, try not to pay one of these bills. Try to skip a particular month. There's more trouble on the way. We don't have to do this for offsets of moral pains. When we asked the divine bank, how do I pay this? The answer from God was, here, son, you go as you can. You pay as you can. You have free will. We'll leave it up to you. We're not forcing you to do anything. Even that, God's mercy. And we complain. So we have this to work with, and we don't know how to work with. Instead of paying our debts, offsetting the whole thing as we can, at each life it seems like we acquire more debts. And obviously, the next life, I had to pay what I had left before plus my new purchases. And it becomes complicated. But we can't complain. We do not have the right to complain. Our pain is being financed through several lifetimes, several reincarnations. Pain and reincarnation come together. Pain leads to something else that we call the enemies. Okay? In American Sign Language, enemies. Okay? Enemies like that. What are these enemies? So here's Joe, my friend, that one day he showed up in the parking lot with the most beautiful and nicest car available at the time. And I couldn't get it, and I got jealous. And I didn't take that well. So naturally, I became like not so much of a close friend, and then, we just drift apart. And for me, Joe is my enemy. He's on my blacklist. He might not even know, but he's on my blacklist. And so is Carlos, and so is Mary, and so is Joanna, and so is whatever name you want to use. If I were to give you a task of write down right now a list of all your enemies, but you only have 5 seconds, most of you would complain. Can't do it in 5 seconds. Because the list is too long, and we know it. We know, yeah, we know. So it's complicated to deal with these enemies. And why is it so complicated? Because we don't grasp the idea behind it. You see, when John gets his car, brand new car, latest and the greatest, and I look at the car and I can't have it, it's like Susanna said in the morning, that's not John. That's not the car. That's envy. So I introduce you to the enemies. These are some of them. These are the enemies. Our vices, pride, selfishness, resentment, hatred, intolerance, impatience, envy, revenge, whatever vices. These are the enemies. These are the ones stopping me from advancing. What is an enemy? It's somebody that stops me from advancing. That's what an enemy is. I cannot advance because I have an enemy by the name envy. And I have another one by the name of dishonesty, and another one by the name of pride, and so it goes like that. They are preventing me from going ahead. So with this new paradigm where the enemy is not the person, the enemy is within, with this new paradigm, what do these people mean? If they are not the enemies, what are they? That's the trick. They are the battlefield. In American Sign Language, battlefield. Okay? They are the battlefield. They are the places I go to defeat the enemy. If I need to defeat my envy, who's the best battlefield? John. He's the one. He's the one. I envy his car since 1985 or something, whatever. He is the place I need to go to win over the enemy. He is not the enemy. He's just the battlefield. He's the point of contact between me and the enemy. Now, think about this. If I avoid John and Carlos and Mary and everybody on my list, if I avoid these people, what am I doing? When you don't show up against your enemy, automatically your enemy wins. Automatically. And you lose. We go home, in a way, and we just lost the game because we didn't show up. So, oh, John, no, I don't like this guy. No. John is going to be there, so I'm sorry, but I can't go. I have something else. And we go like this. Same for every person that we consider enemy. They are not enemies. They are battlefields that allow me to go there and win over the enemy. One day, I'm going to go to the battlefield, and the enemy is not going to show up. That day, I won. One day, I'm going to see John, and envy is not going to be there. He's going to be my greatest friend. I have a personal example I can tell you, life proof of it. And it does work, I'm telling you, because I'm life proof of it. I had a certain type of activity with a group of people, 5, 6 people. And, in doing the activities, one day, the guys called me and said, we didn't like what you did. You did this and this, we didn't like it. So one of them organized the rest of the group to talk to me. He was kind of verbalizing the situation. So I was fuming. That was like 20 years ago. And I was, this guy is at the top of the blacklist. He went to the top of made it to the top of the blacklist in 5 minutes. And then, the thing was on my mind. Oh, that guy, we did so much together, that guy. But the problem is, the places he had to be physically present were the same places I had to be physically present at times. Not always, but at times. That was creating a deep trouble for me because it was hard to deal with that. So one day, something clicked in here. And I said, hold on. I've been suffering all of this. He might not even know that he's my enemy. He might not even know. So I'm going to change this myself. So I put a strategy, really a strategy. And this is what my strategy is. I'm going to look at this schedule for this guy so I can see where he is and when, okay? And I'm going to start going to the same places, but I have to go slowly and carefully so it works, okay? So this is what I did, and this is a true thing. he was going to a certain place on a certain day. I went to that place, so that was my battle number one. I was going to go to the place, look at him, not allowing him to look at me, and I was going to leave, and that's what I did. Okay, second day, here's a strategy. I'm going to look at him, I want him to look at me, then I'm going to leave. That's what I did. Third day, I'm going to look at him. When he looks at me, I'm going to do a sign. Hey, that's what I did. It works. Day number 4, like a tap over here. Hey, how's it going? Day number 5, hey, guy, great to see you here. We're the best friends today. It's a strategy. I went to the battlefield 6 times to win over. But I went to the battlefield. I was losing the battle every time I avoided him, talking to him, looking at him, being on the same place. We got to go to the battlefield. And we are going to win. And I did. So we're great friends today. It's a matter of understanding. It's a shift in the paradigm. They are not the enemies. They are the opportunity to win the enemy. So thank God for them in our lives. Okay, that was said in the morning as well. And the point number 4 that I want to make, I want to bring it to you, dualities. Instead of explaining dualities and give you concepts and nice words, no. Let's go by example. Life and death. This is a duality. For example, regardless of a belief system, if you're alive, you're not dead. If you're dead, you're not alive. But one does not exist without the other. Heaven and hell, regardless of belief system. If you're in heaven, you're not in hell. If you're in hell, you're not in heaven, but one does not exist without the other. These are called dualities. So dualities are things that are opposite sides, and they are extreme different choices. How does it work for us? Let's bring the idea into Spiritism. So let's go back, let's take me, for example. Let's go back several lifetimes ago when I was a great criminal. And then, one life after that, I was less of a criminal, then less of a criminal. Then last incarnation, I only stole 2 things, 2 little items. And then I said, my next incarnation, which is this one, I'm not going to steal anything. Honesty is going to be the thing. I'm going to be as honest as anybody can be. So here I am. So let's say that suddenly I go to a party full of people, let's say 200 people in a party, and somebody puts a pile of $10 bills like this size, making $1 million, and everybody leaves and there's no surveillance cameras. And you leave me in there looking at that. I can look at this and say, oh my God, money, wow. If I take only 50 of those bills, it's not going to make any difference on the pile. Nobody's going to notice. And you see the conflict going? Should I do it? Should I not do it? And nobody's looking. There's no camera. Oh my God, what a great opportunity. You see, if I'm doing this, I have not yet transcended the duality. Dishonesty, honesty. I have not transcended. Because if I had transcended that duality, my attitude was going to be something like this. Wow, somebody forgot a ton of money here. We got to look for the owner. They should be desperate looking for this money. When I get to this point, I transcended the duality. Dishonesty, honesty. It doesn't even occur to me. It doesn't even cross my mind that dishonesty was something possible. Here's another one. Let's say several lifetimes ago, I was a tremendous drunk guy. And I drank everything that was possible, and I keep drinking less and less and less. So my last lifetime, I said, on the next one, which is this, no alcohol, period. So here I come. Everything's going well. I'm invited to a party. Julio puts in here, right, the most desired bottle of whiskey and the most expensive bottle of whiskey in the planet. He puts in here, everybody leaves. No surveillance cameras. And I'm going to look at this and go, oh my God. Oh, should I could just do this. Oh my God. This is fantastic. I'm in heaven. This is the most desired, the most expensive bottle of whiskey in the planet. If I'm going through this, if I'm going through the conflict, I have not yet transcended the duality, alcoholism, sobriety. Because if I had transcended that duality, my attitude would be something like this. wow, this is the most desired, most expensive bottle of whiskey in the planet. I have some friends in this party. If they see this is going to be a total disaster, let me put this away. Then I would have transcended the duality, alcoholism, sobriety. It didn't even occur to me to do something with this for myself. So what happens when we go along working with these dualities and killing them, winning over the enemy? Because you see, honesty and dishonesty. Dishonesty is the enemy. One day I want to win him over. When I win, okay, and dishonesty is no longer a possibility, this is no longer a duality because I don't have two sides anymore. This is called the truth. This is the truth. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Free from what? From the conflict, from the duality, from the should I do, should I not do. Honesty is honesty. Sobriety is sobriety. Tolerance is tolerance. You don't need the intolerance. You don't need the impatience. You don't need the vice side of the duality. We only need the virtue side of the duality. But that's another problem, because very often we seek for people who have virtues that we don't. For example, I go to a place and I look at people, I look at all of you, and I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to sit there because that person, I love that person. He's so calm, he's so patient. And I go there, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But why is it telling me I don't have that in me? I'm seeking for that virtue still. I still have to deal with the duality, patient, impatience. And that person might help me. You see, by going there and sitting by his side, her side, is not going to make me patient. It's not going to fix the duality. I can use that as a reference. Okay? We have the biggest reference of all, Jesus Christ. He's the biggest reference I can look at. But just by reading the gospel, even by being physically with him, you wouldn't have fixed it. Because it's internal work. It's the inner transformation. I can use him, her, or whoever as a model, but that doesn't change me. Seeking virtues in other people should be used as a reference, not as an endpoint. Oh yeah, now I'm patient. Now I'm tolerant. No, that's not going to happen. That's not what it is. And the third idea about dualities is, how do I completely dismantle these dualities? So I spoke about two here: dishonesty, honesty, alcoholism, sobriety. How do I dismantle that? So I want to bring you an idea, which I do very often. I want you to think about the sun. We're going to use something that's in the physical world because we have a little bit more, it's easier for us to think about it, so we're going to use an analogy. Although we don't put our hands on the sun, but it's something physical that we can look out and see it. So think about the sun. You don't have to answer, okay? But I'll give you time to think. 10 seconds. What time, and I'm going to count in ASL, American Sign Language. What time is night at the sun? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What time is night at the sun? Answer: it's never night at the sun. Hopefully everybody agrees. It's never night in the sun. So the next question is, why not? Why not? We know it's never night at the sun. Why not? The best answer that I could come up with is because the sun is the source of all light. Not some light, not a couple of rays. The sun is the source of all light. When am I going to be in peace? When I am the source of all peace. Not when two guys in suits sit in a palace and sign a bunch of papers, because we've done that 10,000 times in history and it didn't work. When am I going to be tolerant? When I am the source of all tolerance. When am I going to be patient? When I am the source of all patience. I have to be the son of all things. That's the goal. That's the inner transformation. Inner transformation is start working on all these dualities, vices on one side, corresponding virtues on the other side, and dismantle them, being the source of the virtue. When I am the source of all honesty, dishonesty is not even, you can take that word out of the vocabulary because it doesn't make sense to me. So we can think about the sun as a reference, being the source of all things. That's what we should be doing, seeking to be the source of all things. There's this fantastic book. Unfortunately, it's not translated in English yet. In a loose translation, we could call this the sun in our souls. There's one phrase, just one phrase, that's worth this whole 30 minutes of talk here. The phrase is this: without temptation, impossible the task of perfection. Without temptation. What is the temptation? Is being placed in a situation, remember, second part of the answer to the purpose of incarnation, being placed in situations where I have to make a choice, and I'm being presented with both possibilities. And if I still see the second possibility, I haven't transcended that duality yet. When I have transcended the duality, there's no duality, there's only truth. And that sets me free. That's the only thing that sets me free, truth. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So without temptation, there's no task of perfection. Without temptation, there's no task of perfection impossible, because I have to destroy all these dualities. And the only way to destroy is going to the battlefield. I have to set an appointment with my enemy, which are my vices, in the battlefield. So let's say that I decide, I consider myself to be pretty, impatient. And I'm going to work on this seriously. Okay, who is the person that I can't stand? When he's 10 miles away, I feel it. Who is that person? What's his name? John? Okay. John is not the name, it's the nickname. The name is impatience. The name is intolerance. Mary is the nickname. So what is the nickname that's going to allow me to work and win over? I want to go to the battlefield. That's something we can do. And I'm telling you, I'm living proof of it. It works. We just have to put a strategy. Now, on this strategy, there's one thing we need to be very careful about. Let's say, for example, that I don't like the person. The example that I gave was because he got the car. Okay, so let's say that I'm going to go back and work with this. So what was my first approach? Remember, I go and look at the person and leave. He's not going to see me. So, you see, there's no sense in going, oh, here he is. Yeah, but the car is out there still in the parking lot because I saw it. That's not it. The strategy is being applied wrongly. I can't go in there to emphasize the problem. I have to go in and say, oh, he's in a party. He's drinking some Coke and eating some chips. Oh, yeah, it's a human body. He needs to feed himself. And I leave. Don't feed the enemy. I still need to go to the battleground, not to feed the enemy, to win over the enemy. And I'm going to win, one at a time. It's possible. Try and you see. Battlefields, that's what they are. Battlefields, enemies. Okay? Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day here.